All right, good afternoon. This is my other video. All right, so the way cars have gotten big. All right, so again, you're seeing both my vehicles. This is my 90 Geo Tracker and my Hyundai Santa Cruz. That's my daily, and you can kind of see in the background. You can see how much bigger trucks have become, and all vehicles. This thing, the Santa Cruz, probably weighs twice as much as the Tracker. And does the average citizen really need all this car? Versus this little thing. The Tracker is not much. It's basically a glorified ATV. How much more do you really need than that? I mean, obviously, the crash tests for these, were not really that great. But can they make something this size with much better, protection for passengers and occupants in the vehicle and outside the vehicle? Like, I've said this in many of my other videos. I'm 5'6", 140 on a good day, wet. Now, you see how high the hood is, right? You kind of see it comes up to my waist. Okay, so compared to America versus like many other countries, other countries factor in pedestrian safety. So if God forbid a pedestrian were to get hit by one of these, they're more likely to go up and over. Let me step back. It might happen. In all fairness, it'll probably happen. Same thing with the Santa Cruz, just because it's a small truck. But not a real truck. Because of the height, a pedestrian is most likely to go up and over. If you eyeball those trucks and they whack you, you're going to go under and you're going to get turned into hamburger meat. This Mustang, you'll still go over. So you get my point. How big do they really need to be? Even the F-150 that I'm parked next to, like, how big do these things really need to be? I mean, obviously, here in the States, if you get in an accident in that big truck and you're driving it, you're more likely going to live. Maybe a few dings. But if it hits somebody, they're probably not. So there has to be that balance. Oh, another perfect example, that high country way over there. Again, I'm 5'6". If that thing were to hit me, I'd be turned into fucking hamburger meat. There'd be no chance in fucking hell. So that, again, that is, the balancing act. And, how is the driver going to really see? Which is a whole nother problem. With these super high vehicles, and these super high hood heights, how do they expect to see, kids, people in wheelchairs? You get my point. There needs to be a middle ground to making vehicles safe for the occupants and, pedestrians and cyclists and, other vehicles. And most of us, like, case in point, if this were a two-door, I'd be much happier if this were like a two-door with a slightly longer bed. And a shorter wheelbase and more off-road chops, but you get my point. Anyhow, let me know what you think. Do you really think the average American buys too much car or not? I'll talk to you.